Hello, I'm going to uh, do a short video on how I would reword the interaction on page 368 between provider's mother and the provider. The provider starts off by saying, "Hello." The mother, Miss Morton, she says, "I'm trying to find out about my daughter, Celia. The campus police called me and said she was taken to the ER." And the provider goes on to say, "I understand, but under HIPAA regulations, I can't tell you anything about her, but she is here." Um, Kind of, I would have said the same thing. I would have said, unfortunately, or I would have started by trying to establish a personal connection. I do apologize to hear, your concern with your daughter, or apologize for, what may have happened to her. But unfortunately, under HIPAA regulations, I can't tell you anything, but I do know that she is here. Then the mother goes on to say, "I'm her mother." And then the provider says, "I understand, but unfortunately, there's no way for me to confirm that. And even if I could, she's an adult and has to give permission for us to talk to anyone." Um, in a sense, I would have said the same thing, but kind of worded it different. I apologize. I do understand, but unfortunately, there are certain regulations in place, and, she's an adult, so she just has to give permission for me to release any information before I can tell you anything. Then the mother goes on to say, "Then go ask her." And then the provider says, "I can't do that." I wouldn't have said I can't do that. I would have just said, give me some time. I'll go work on it. Trying to keep the mother at ease because she's already, kind of up in a roar, kind of thoughts all over the place because she doesn't know what's going on with her daughter. So what I would have kind of reassured her, they are trying to treat her at the moment, but give me a second and I'll be sure to work on that for you. Um, then it says, "Then let me talk to someone who's in charge." I'm sorry. Can you go sit down, baby? Um, I'm sorry. Then they go on to say, "I can't do that." Like I said, I would have reassured her, I'll be working on it. Then it says, the provider, "Then let me talk to someone who's in charge." And then the provider says, "This is federal regulation. It has nothing to do with being in charge. As soon as she can complete the HIPAA release form, we'll be in touch." Now, it's kind of like a snarky remark, in regards to the provider. Um, she already knows about the federal regulations, which he's informed her about. I would have just said, um, you know, try and, even if they can't do it, try and get someone higher up because they may understand it coming from someone who's, in a higher position than they are. I mean, like they say, the customer is always right. Is that the saying? Just, if even if it takes, someone who's in charge reiterating it for them, to kind of put them at ease, to let them know, that is in fact the regulations. But you know I would have reworded it different. I'm sorry about the background noises. My kids, they're just all over the place. But I would have kind of worded that different. I'll go get somebody for you. Give me just 1 second. But do know that, a release form still has to come from her in order for us to release any information. And then I would have went to get someone who's in charge. And then it says, um, just kind of the way he worded that, as soon as she can complete the form, we'll be in touch. It kind of made the patient's mind, think the worst has happened to her daughter because the mother goes on to say, "What's wrong with her that she can't sign a form?" Thinking, maybe she's unconscious or, certain stuff like that. So um, you have to kind of go over in your head what you're going to say to the patient's family because you don't want a situation to get worse than what it is. So I would have just said, if you give me a moment, I'll go and get her to go and sign the form, kind of put her at ease, let her know you're working towards, you know, taking a step so that we can, you can get information for her regarding her daughter. And then she says, "What's wrong with her that she can't sign the form?" And then the provider goes on to say, I can't discuss her condition. We'll be in touch when we have her permission. Again, uh, finding out the wording to say to the provider, you know, unfortunately, I can't discuss her condition, but if you give me one moment, I'll go and see if I can get her to sign the form right now. Plain and simple. That lets them know he is working for me, kind of keep the patient's family at ease, because you don't know where their mind is going. You just want to, kind of keep the situation, calm. And then the mother goes on to say, this is wrong. I'm 2,000 miles away. The provider goes on to say, I'm sorry, I don't make federal regulations. If you give me your number, I'll call you as soon as I get her permission. That's, like I said, again, the snarky remarks as far as, talking to the family. You always want to keep everything calm. You want to, you know, choose your choice of words wisely. As she said, she's 2,000 miles away. Ma'am, I do apologize, and I know this is a hard time for you. If you give me your phone number, I'll go and see if I can get her to sign the papers. As soon as I have information, as soon as I have her permission, I'll be sure to give you a call right back. That would have changed the situation, between the provider and the patient's mother. Then she goes on to say, this is unfair. I'm going to be sitting here scared to death until you call. And then the provider just kind of did the conversation and said, I'll call you just as soon as I get her information. It kind of leaves the mother wondering, I do sorry, but if you give me a few minutes, I'll go to the patient and get these forms signed, and I'll give you a call right back. Even if you kind of know that you won't be right back, at least that patient's mother has, a sense of, they're working for me. I'm gonna get some information. But that's how I kind of would have, reworded, just kind of choosing your words, when you're speaking to the family or when you're speaking to the patient, to kind of just keep the situation calm, because it's already bad enough that her daughter's in the hospital. She doesn't know what's going on. Her mind's just left wondering. So I would have just kind of chose my words kind of differently when speaking to the mother. And that's it. Thank you.